Hello guys, how are you today? Welcome to SEDA College Online. I'm really glad to be here with you again one more time. And please relax, take your time and enjoy the class. Also, as always, don't forget to write in the live chat section, in the comment section, and I will keep reminding you that, okay, during the lesson, so don't hesitate. Write your answers, write your questions, write any comments you have. And I will be urging you to do that a lot today, so please respond, okay? So, what I want to start with today, my first question is, how do you feel today? I want you to tell me, write an adjective maybe, or a short phrase in the comment section or in the live chat section. Do you feel happy, sad, exhausted, frustrated, overwhelmed? Tell me how you feel. I feel pretty relaxed today, to tell you the truth, so that's good. And since you continue writing your answers, I just want to move on to a quiz question. Does anybody know how do we call the science of analyzing handwriting? I think maybe you have heard it before. I'll wait for a minute. If somebody knows, you can write it down in the comment section. I will just give you 2 hints to help. One, it comes from Greek. And second, the ending of the word is similar to psychology. So psychology and this science have the same ending. So it is, guys, graphology. Okay? It comes from the Greek verb grapho, which means to write, science of writing. And I have another quiz for you as well. I want you to write again in the comment section, what do you imagine it means if your letters are quite large? What does this show about your personality? Again, you can answer with an adjective. Okay, do you think it shows you are shy? Do you think it shows you are friendly? Take your guess. And then do the same thing about people who write in small letters. What do you think it means? So, according to scientists, this can show pretty much a good amount of personality characteristics, but there are people who don't believe that it's 100% accurate. I think that it can give a general overview, but maybe it cannot be 100% accurate in all your characteristics. So now that you've taken some time to guess, let me show you the answers. If you write in large letters, you probably are a person who wants to be noticed. And you might also be interactive. You want to interact with other people. Now, if you write in small letters, there is quite some possibility that you are more concentrated and maybe introverted, a little bit shy. Do you think that's accurate for you? You can write down your comment. Although later we will actually going to test your personal handwriting, and you're going to tell me in more detail if this theory is accurate for you. So let's move on to give you some more information. We're going to watch a short video, and our focus here is listening. So this video is from bbc.com. What does your handwriting say about you? And if you type it online, you're going to find that if you want to watch it later on your own again. You can see in the picture we have the journalist and the graphologist, okay, on your right. and she's going to analyze the journalist's handwriting. So while we're watching, I want you to think and write down what personality traits are revealed from the journalist's handwriting. And of course, you can write your answers straight in the comment section. We'll check them together once the video finishes. Okay, are you ready, guys? Okay, let's get started.
Graphology, graphometry, the science of handwriting. It's not something which most of us are particularly familiar with, but here in France it's actually very current. They say that more than half of job applications when a decision is made, it's based partly on an analysis of the candidate's handwriting. The experts say that you can, by looking at a piece of handwriting, draw general conclusions about a person's character. Well, to test that, I've come to see Catherine Potiot, who is one of France's leading graphologists, and I've brought a piece of my handwriting. She's had the weekend to examine it. Catherine, what have you done in order to analyze this piece of writing?
Okay, so first I look at the writing and I form a general impression, seeing how the space circulates, how the words have been put down, how they're organized on the page. Then I use the magnifying glass to look at the actual line, the trace of the line, how it's fixed on the page, how it flows, and that gives me more precise, more detailed information.
So what has my writing told you about me?
A lot of things. I found a great need for independence. This is someone who is a bit of a free spirit, someone who sets his own limits and follows rules that he sets for himself. At the same time, there's a serious side, an analytical spirit, an intuition, and a kind of anxiety, which is a real driving force.
How can you draw those conclusions from the writing? I mean, give me a concrete example of something that you see there which leads you to a conclusion.
It's pretty clear in the writing. It's a style which takes possession of the space, but leaves plenty of room for the white, well, for what we call the white, to go around the words. So a real need for space, for independence, and also a need to find pleasure in what he does, to have a feeling that life is ludique, fun, bit of a game.
Well, when you see this thing about it being a game, that I see life as fun, as a game, ludique.
It's because there isn't in this writing any desire to line up with conventions or the norms. It's more the expression of a personality, or the need to personalize your ideas, and then this need for personal liberty, which is so important.
Fascinating. So if I understand it, I'm intuitive, I am independent, I'm a bit of a free spirit.
Voilà.
I'm fun-loving, but quite serious too. I can't say she's wrong. Catherine, thank you very much indeed.
Merci à vous.
So guys, I hope you found most of the personality traits that the graphologists describe, and you see that according to the journalist it was quite true. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be true for you later when we will test your handwriting. And let's take a look at the answers together. So these are some of the personality traits that we have. A need for independence, or independent if you want the adjective. He is a free spirit, an analytical spirit. He has intuition, or you can see the adjective intuitive. We can see a little bit of anxiety. He follows rules that sets for himself. He's a quite fun-loving person, serious, and sees life as a game. So I don't know if you got all of them, but if you found most of them, that's really good. And we will focus a little bit later on the adjectives as well. on the vocabulary. But first, I want to listen one more time and focus on a different detail. Here is my next question. So we'll listen again and this time answer the question. What specific examples does the graphologist give to explain the journalist's need for independence and the perception that he sees life as a game? Okay, so focus on specific examples. What can she see in the writing that reveals that? And of course, again, you can write your answers straight in the comments and the live chat. Sorry. Okay.
Graphometry, the science of handwriting. It's not something which most of us are particularly familiar with, but here in France it's actually very current. They say that more than half of job applications when a decision is made, it's based partly on an analysis of the candidate's handwriting. The experts say that you can, by looking at a piece of handwriting, draw general conclusions about a person's character. Well, to test that, I've come to see Catherine Potiot, who is one of France's leading graphologists, and I've brought a piece of my handwriting. She's had the weekend to examine it. Catherine, what have you done in order to analyze this piece of writing?
Okay, so first I look at the writing and I form a general impression, seeing how the space circulates, how the words have been put down, how they're organized on the page. Then I use the magnifying glass to look at the actual line, the trace of the line, how it's fixed on the page, how it flows, and that gives me more precise, more detailed information.
So what has my writing told you about me?
A lot of things. I found a great need for independence. This is someone who is a bit of a free spirit, someone who sets his own limits and follows rules that he sets for himself. At the same time, there's a serious side, an analytical spirit, an intuition, and a kind of anxiety, which is a real driving force.
How can you draw those conclusions from the writing? I mean, give me a concrete example of something that you see there which leads you to a conclusion.
It's pretty clear in the writing. It's a style which takes possession of the space, but leaves plenty of room for the white, well, for what we call the white, to go around the words. So a real need for space, for independence, and also a need to find pleasure in what he does, to have a feeling that life is ludique, fun, bit of a game.
Well, when you see this thing about it being a game, that I see life as fun, as a game, ludique.
It's because there isn't in this writing any desire to line up with conventions or the norms. It's more the expression of a personality, or the need to personalize your ideas, and then this need for personal liberty, which is so important.
Fascinating. So if I understand it, I'm intuitive, I am independent, I'm a bit of a free spirit. I'm fun-loving, but quite serious too. I can't say she's wrong. Catherine, thank you very much indeed.
Merci à vous.
Okay, so let's take a look at the answers to these questions as well. You see the concrete examples that she uses. The first one is the room for the white. There is a lot of space around the word, so this apparently shows the need for independence. And for your second question, perceiving life as a game, you can see that there is no desire to line up with the norm, to follow the rules. If you paid attention to the writing itself, you might have seen that at some point the letters were connected. It was a bit difficult to get to understand each letter clearly. So that's what she means here. Okay, so how did that go? And I don't know if you noticed as well that, of course, the graphologist was speaking French and we had the translation, the voiceover. This is also a very helpful type of writing when you have a translation over the original language because it can help you listen with distractions. You have the noise of the original language at the background and you have the part that you need to focus on, which is the translation. So it makes it a little bit harder, but it's very good practice. All right, so I promised that we're going to look at the vocabulary, adjectives specifically, and that's what we're going to do now. These are a few of the adjectives that we heard during the listening. Intuitive, independent, fun-loving, serious, analytical. So I have one more question for you. You can write your answer in the comments. If you take a quick look at the adjectives, which one would your eye catch as different and why? Think about it and write it down. Is there something that at first glance seems different? Which adjective do you think is that? Intuitive, independent, fun-loving, serious, or analytical? So I think if you just focus, it's easy to find the answer, which is fun-loving. And, well, you can see the difference. We actually have two words that are connected here with a hyphen. So if you don't know what this symbol is, it's called a hyphen, spelled Hyphen. And do you know how we call these types of adjectives that have two words connected with a hyphen? I'm sure you might have heard it before. It's this one. It's called compound, a compound adjective. So this means that you actually have two words that are connected. And what I want you to think before we continue is, do you have in mind any other compound adjectives? If you can think of an example right now, you can write it in the live chat, in the comments. I'm sure that you might have heard or you might know many compound adjectives, but maybe it's not the easiest thing to bring them to mind, like on the spot. So if you find something maybe later as well, you can still write your answers down. And I will give you a few more examples. All of them are compound adjectives that describe personalities because that's our topic. And I will pronounce them for you as well. I want you to focus a little bit on my stress. So the first one is tight-fisted, two-faced, bad-tempered, absent-minded, narrow-minded, self-centered, laid back. So I don't know if you noticed my stress. And of course, maybe even if you didn't notice my stress, you have probably noticed the stress syllables. So that's something that you can remember. When we have compound adjectives, it's always the second word that is stressed. The first syllable of the second word. Festive, faced, tempered, minded, centered, back. I don't know if you are familiar with all of these words. Maybe you know some of them like self-centered, absent-minded, bad-tempered. But in case you're not sure, I have an exercise for you. I have the synonyms here. So I will give you a minute to think about which word matches with which meaning. So which adjective has the meaning conservative, for example. And you can write down your answers in the comments and the live chat. I'll keep saying that, right? Something that can help you while you're working is try to analyze the words that are part of the compound adjective. Of course, this is not only something that can help you just with compound adjectives, it can help you with any word that contains many different roots. So try to do that. It might help. And of course, you can focus on prefixes, suffixes. These can also help you with the meaning. Like, for example, if you think of the first compound adjective, tight, fisted. Do you know what a fist is? It's when you close your hand like this, aggressively. But this also means that you don't want to let something go, so you keep it in your fist. I don't know if this helps you. So if you have a tight fist, are you hypocritical? Are you relaxed? Are you ungenerous? Think about it. Okay, I'll give you the answers so we can check them together. So, conservative. You are narrow-minded. I'm sure you have heard the opposite, which is open-minded. And then we go to irritable. Pay attention to the stress here. You stress the first syllable, irritable. It's someone who gets annoyed very, very easily. So of course you are bad-tempered. The third one, I explained it a little bit to you. Tight-fisted means that you are ungenerous. Imagine that you have a friend who is never willing to pay when you go out, so they are a bit tight-fisted. Number 4, hypocritical. And it's two-faced. Okay? You have two faces. You are dishonest in a sense. Then you have the word selfish. I think that's easy to link it with self-centered because you also have the word self in both of them. Number 6, relaxed, and of course laid back, the relaxed body posture. And the last one, distracted, and of course our synonym is absent-minded. Your mind is not here, it's absent, you are kind of distracted. But I hope no one is absent-minded right now. Okay guys, so remember again, if you have any questions, you can ask me anything and I will answer as fast as possible. Okay? And again, as I promised, the next thing that we're going to do is test for handwriting. Now, I found an article online. It's from the Business Insider, and you can see the title, what your handwriting says about you. So if you go online, you can find the whole article too. And the expert suggests a test. I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Okay, we're going to write something down. And I want you to write down the sentence that you see on the screen. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so I want you to write it. Don't try to be too careful or something. Your normal handwriting. I will write it too, so that we can check my handwriting as well. Okay, so it's the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, So you can see my handwriting here, and we will analyze it together, and you can also analyze your own handwriting. So let's start. Something that is important, first of all, is the size of your letters. So if your letters are large, you probably want to be noticed. You're people-oriented. You see, people-oriented is another compound adjective. And if your letters are small, you're probably introverted, or you have strong focus and concentration. Well, I think my letters are average size towards small, but I'd say that it's probably to the point for me. I don't know if it's accurate about you. You can write in the comments. Another aspect is the slant. What does that mean? If your letters have an inclination towards the left or the right side, okay? If it's straight, there is no slant. Now, I think with my own letters, I don't think there is a slant here. Okay, it's pretty straight. So for me, the explanation would be you are ruled by logic, not emotion. You're very solid and pragmatic, which could be accurate. But I think sometimes if you write fast, there might be a slant. Does any of you have a right or a left slant? Tell me in the comments. Well, if you have a right slant, you are heart-centered, another compound adjective, friendly, sentimental, and impulsive. You value your friends and family, it's good. If you have a left slant, you prefer to work with things over people. So yeah, you don't like being around people so much. You're introspective, so you reflect a lot, self-reflection, and reserved. So generally more me-oriented. Another thing is the pressure. How much pressure do you put on your pen when you're writing? I think I put like medium pressure. I don't know how much pressure I put. But if you have a really heavy pressure, that means you have strong emotions, very intense emotions. You react really quickly. If you have light pressure, sometimes you can see people and the ink is barely seen, so that's light pressure. You move easily from place to place. You don't wear yourself out emotionally. Now, if you don't know what wear out means here, it means that you tire yourself emotionally, overthinking about your emotions until you can no longer function. So that's not good. And one more thing is the connection, how connected your letters are. I think some of mine might be a little bit connected, but most of them are not. Let's see. So if your letters are not connected, you are logical, methodical, you make decisions carefully. If they are connected, you are intelligent and intuitive. Well, I'm somewhere in the middle. Okay. And don't forget to tell me about your characteristics, if it's correct or not. Another one is the eyes. How do you dot your eyes? If you kind of have a circle thing, you might be childlike and playful, artistic. You like to stand out, so you want people to notice you. If it's just a point, you don't like clutter. Clutter means too many things messy around you. And you pay great attention to detail. Another letter that pays attention is how you cross your T's. Do you cross it on the top or in the middle? If you cross it at the top, you might have high goals and self-esteem. If not, you may aim low and have strong insecurities. Is that true? So tell me again, write in the comments, guys. Did you think that this was accurate? Maybe some of them were accurate, nothing was accurate. Tell me what you thought. And of course, these are just a few examples. If you want to learn more about that, you can go online and there is much more information that you can use to analyze a little bit, an overview of your handwriting. See if it's correct. So, what we're going to do next. I don't know if you noticed that while I was describing and reading the pictures, I was using a lot of conditionals, like if your letters are small, if your letters are large, you are fun-loving. But today we will learn a different structure we can use to do exactly the same thing, to show a relationship of dependence between two things. It's this structure that you see on your screen. The plus comparative, comma, the plus comparative. And as I told you, the meaning is that it shows a relationship of dependence. It's very, very similar to the zero or the first conditional as a meaning, but it's kind of simpler. And I have an example for you. So if we get an example about handwriting again, my clue is white spacing shows that you enjoy freedom. If you want to use the conditional, you could say, if there is white spacing, you enjoy freedom. But you can do the exact same thing by using the comparative. Okay. So you use the adjective or the adverb as the comparative. In the first sentence, we start with wide. So we use this word. The wider the spacing, comma, the more you enjoy freedom. And it's true that it's very common to use more or less a lot here. But remember, if you have smaller words, you need to use your ER, okay, wider, smaller, bigger, etc. So, let's practice a little bit together. This is the same picture we saw before. I want you to write in the comment section or in the live chat one sentence using the comparative about what you see here. Just one sentence. Okay. Your letters, you are. Try to focus on the adjectives or the adverbs. Here the first part is easy because you are given the basic part, large letters or small letters. And then you can focus on the adjectives used in the second section, like people-oriented, strong, focused, introverted. So that's what you could write here. Just two examples. The larger your letters, the more people-oriented you are. So you see how we deal with the adjectives. Larger, more people-oriented. The same with small letters. The smaller your letters, the stronger focus you have. The smaller, the stronger. So if you think about it, it's much easier, I think, as long as you get used to it a bit. Let's do the same thing with pressure now. I'll give you again 1 minute to write your answer in the comments. So you have heavy pressure, light pressure. Think about it. What can you write? It might take some time for you to get used to it if you don't use it a lot, but it's actually a very, very nice structure to use. And I think it's much easier, much more interesting than just using the conditional. So here, what could be a possible answer? You could say, the heavier the pressure, the more quickly you react. So you see we have the comparative for heavy, heavier. Y has changed into IER. And then we have quickly, an adverb. Remember that we always use more with adverbs. More quickly, more quietly, etc. And another example, the lighter the pressure, the less you wear out yourself emotionally. And I want you to see how the sentence, which is a negative sentence, don't wear, becomes a comparative with less. Okay, more, less. And let's do one last example. Again, think about it, write your answer in the comments. Not connected, negative. So remember what I just said about negatives. Or connected. And you have a lot of adjectives to choose from here: logical, methodical, intelligent, intuitive. And this is just some practice for you, but if you want more practice, you can continue doing the same thing. And it's a very useful form because we always compare things if you think about it in our everyday lives. So these are some possible answers. Okay, if your letters are not connected, so the less connected your letters, the more logical you are. Or the more connected your letters, and it's an R here, the more intuitive you are. So keep that in mind. And before we finish, I just want to do a small recap what we saw today. We did a bit of listening for details. We worked on vocabulary, specifically on compound adjectives. We saw some pronunciation, specifically word stress in compound adjectives. Remember, we always stress the second word. We talked a bit about grammar, the comparative. Try to use it more. And of course, we try to practice our writing using sentences with the specific structure. Now, before we finish, I have one last question for you. And I want you to go to the comments or to the live chat and tell me, what did you learn today? Just write the first thing that comes to your mind. Is it something that you didn't know before? Something that you knew but you still think it's interesting? Something that you had forgotten about? So write in the comments, guys. And that was the end of our lesson today. So thank you for being here one more time, and I'll see you next time. Okay, please be here. Bye bye, guys.